backwards home the quickest way they can. That's history, the wrong hero way. Backwards to 1492. But now, you are beginning to annoy. I don't think I like your attitude. What do you...
Don't cheer until I am being executed for my crimes.
That's the wrong hero.
I'm the wrong hero, and I'm so in touch with myself, I don't know how to feel.
Hero is great.
And now I'd like to sing a little love song, and it goes something like this. A one, a two, a one, two. You're the reason that I had to get married, but like you're the same, the only thing we have in common is our name. You're the reason that I had to be ordinary, but you can call me anytime. The only thing we have in common is a crime. You're the reason that I had to be ordinary, but you can call me all the same. The only thing we have in common is our shame.
All bow to the hero.
The wrong hero. He's not for everybody, but then again, he hates everybody. I'm the wrong hero, and I trust my life as far as I can throw it away. Does anybody here know Paul the Cobbler on Massachusetts Avenue?
Yes.
Well, I went up to his cobbler shop and taunted him for having a black thumb. There he was, standing there with his pipe in his hand, with his peg in one hand and his awl behind his ear, and his leather apron, and all cobblers wear. And I said, say, Paul, that thumb of yours looking pretty grim. You ever hear of latex gloves, Paul? And he hit me on the head with his awl. And he said, someday this awl will be yours. And I said, well, looks like I got my wish a little early this year. I talked to my father. I said, Father, give me some money. Those are like the first 5 words out of my mouth. And he said, money doesn't grow on trees, and even if it did, you'd have to pick it yourself. Because I was disgusted with you. I'm the wrong hero. Welcome to Hell Forum. Tonight on Hell Forum, we're about to present a prestigious award for being an invaluable documentary of the wrong hero's formative years, for its magnificent, rib-tickling arrogance, for being an utterly shameless piece of self-promoting baloney, just like everything else around here. The annual award for best performance by the wrong hero goes, as it does every year, to the wrong hero.
The wrong hero.
And now the wrong hero will give his acceptance speech. As I stand here to collect my first of many awards, I recall my first memory. It was that of escaping my home planet in a rocket ship. And as I was surrounded by radioactive fragments of what was my home planet, I remember thinking with a wry chuckle, I should have set a slightly longer fuse. I like to thank Bugsy Siegel, Meyer Lance, Al Capone, and John Dillinger. Some people say, build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. Well, I'm the wrong hero. I built a shitty mousetrap with a mice laughed at. I'm the wrong hero. They call me hero because I conquered despair. But did I really? Paging Mr. Ant. Paging Mr. Ant. Please call the Myrmidon Security Office up in the front, please. I'm the wrong hero. My friends call me Tyrant, the all-powerful cosmic master of space and time. And my enemies call me, stop swinging that lit firecracker at my head.
All praise the hero.
Accept your praise. Quit slapping together your nauseating meat hooks and listen up. I'm the wrong hero, and people who tell the truth are never very popular, so my advice to you is, don't hide them. I'm the wrong hero, and I wanted to emulate my idol, Keith Richards, but I got a little confused. I had my blood replaced with heroin, and then I was really confused. I'm going to blow the next line on purpose, just to make this job look hard, harder than it already is, and because I don't have anything funny to say at this moment. I am serving notice that I no longer wish to be referred to by the name The Wrong Hero.
What do you wish to be referred to as?
Hero is my slave name. I want you to call me The Wrong X. And I got some bean pies for sale after the show. Well, as The Wrong X, it is incumbent upon me to ask this question. Why did we fight in Vietnam when their principal export was rice? Valuable rice! Why were we killing each other over a bunch of rice? I got a letter from a little girl who lives in Cambridge, Massachusetts, right here. She wrote, Dear Wrong Hero, why is your dress blue? And I wrote back, well, little lady, science tells us to dress in blue to protect ourselves from evil spirits. But since you're a little girl, you're not important, which is why they dressed you in pink. Other people have cars that emit carbon monoxide. My car emits NO2. But somehow, as I'm driving around in a nitrous oxide haze, I don't care about the emissions. I start to groove on. Just like I start to groove on some of my bumper stickers. Like classy ones that you can drive around in Cambridge with, like oil is blood, or easy does it, alcoholics, or L. Ron Hubbard is my co-pilot, or I break for Twisted Circus Wars, or beer drinkers are fat, or caution, cyclotron on board, or ask me about my eternal karma. Or honk if you betrayed our Lord. Or my The keys are in the ignition of my I'm the wrong hero, and I have a little riddle for you. How many of them does it take to change a light bulb? I'll tell you how many of them it takes. 2. One to stand at the servants' entrance, and the other one to loiter around sort of casually to make sure that the repairman doesn't steal anything. That's how many of them it takes. You know, it's nothing but a rat race out there. I'd quit my job in a minute and stay at home and play with the kids, except I don't have any kids. So you know what I do? I call Sinead O'Connor, pretending to be the Pope. Then I call Woody Allen, pretending to be Sinead O'Connor. And then I call the Pope and pretend to be Woody Allen. March was National Trauma Awareness Month, but I was too frightened to mention it until now. I got in trouble with the IRS. I paid my taxes in cash. Everything was legitimate, strictly above board, except for one thing. Instead of Andrew Jackson's pictures on the $20 bills, they had Grandpa Munster instead. And when people call the Middle East asking us what kind of food we sell here, I like to say, well, you would think that it would be delicious Lebanese cuisine, but no, instead it's these little rolly boogers that we accumulate and put in little bomb shelter tins from the 50s and we stick them in a little moldy old basement. That's the kind of food we serve here, but it's too big to fit on the marquee. I'm the wrong hero. My dog turned on me. I had a German Shepherd. You know how German Shepherds are. Like Germans, they turn on you. Well, my dog turned on me. He took me to small claims court. I'm the wrong hero. I don't believe in wholesale slaughter. Not so long as there's a commission in it for me somewhere. I'm the wrong hero. And as you can see, you can't please everyone. But then again, everyone wouldn't fit in here, would they? They'd have to go downstairs into the basement. That basement, that downward stairway, you go down, down, down the evolutionary scale. Every time you walk into that basement. What is it, a cigarette? Supposed to be King Tut's tomb down there? I don't like that basement. Because I'm not used to all these wide open spaces. When I was growing up, we were so poor, we lived in a granite quarry. We ate quartz. We didn't know how to read and write. I'm the wrong hero, and I would like to be the first man to menstruate. That way, I be on the cutting edge of bitchin' punch. Some people ask, wrong hero, what do you do when you're not performing your palanquade for the credulous masses? And I say, I repossess houses for a living. And you know something? I'm always just one poor house away from my next paycheck. I'm the wrong hero, and I wrote a story about a computer on a piece of computer paper because it told me to. George Washington to my house so I could put up a little plaque on the door that said, George Washington slept here. But I felt that it wouldn't be the truth. So instead, I put up a plaque that said, George Washington would have slept here, but he couldn't get a wink of sleep because I was afraid.
Just daring him to try to steal some of my silverware to finance the Revolutionary War. Oh, no, you don't, buckle shoes. Hands off the Mazuma.
I mean, Christ, you're on every dollar bill. What more do you want? I'm the wrong hero. I just wanted to say that you are beginning to bore me. Because you make me nervous. I feel like a goldfish. And a big piece of shit hanging out of my ass. You are beginning to make me nervous. Isn't that one of those optimistic hillbilly songs? In the still of the night? I'm the wrong hero, and I'd like to sing a song that I wrote called America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Well, most of it. For spacious skies. What other kind of skies are there? Clouded skies? Dank, miserable, underground cavern skies? For amber waves of grain. Who thought this line up? Amber waves of grain? For la-di-da, lifted pinky. May I have my lap chang oolong tea now? For purple mountains' majesty. Who wrote this copy? Edgar Allan Poe? Whacked out on opium at his desk at the Baltimore Sun-Times?
Where Walter was last night? Where Walter was?
Above the fruited plain. What kind of idiot would be stupid enough to throw fruit at a plane? America, America, oh, by the way, I'm the wrong hero, and my contract forbids quoting my words or taking my photograph while I'm on stage. And if you do not comply with these requests, you will be asked to leave. Thank you. So put those cameras away. I'm the wrong hero, and I had a job at the Library of Congress.
Wrong!
Yeah, I had a job at the Library of Congress.
Wrong!
No, that's right. I had a job at the Library of Congress.
Wrong!
I had a job. My foot is at the level of your neck at the Library of Congress. And when they asked me for a rare manuscript, I threw it on the fire and I said, "It's rare now. Pretty soon it'll be completely well done." Because I'm the wrong hero, and I don't shop at an ordinary supermarket. I shop at a supermarket for men. Caged gorillas, aisle 1. Dynamite, aisle 3. Nitroglycerin, next to the healthcare product. Fecal waste, aisle 7. No men's room, just an open trough. Because it's a man's supermarket. It's got sawdust on the floor. Shaven and shirted patrons may be asked to leave. It's right next to the inconvenience store. The store that's never open when you want it to be, and even when it is open, they won't wait on you. They make up one bogus excuse or another. I'm sorry, but I gotta feed my baby. I'm the wrong hero. And I have a different woman every night. Well, actually, it's just one woman with a multiple personality disorder. Yeah, one night she's my mom, the next night she's a drill sergeant, and the night after that she's my best friend. I could wear out 8 of her personalities in a week and still not get to the bottom of where she's at. Then on the night that she's my maid, she says, "I'm not your maid." And I say to her, "True, I require 2 references from a maid." I put an ad in the paper for a used car, and it reads, "Wanted, one car to drive around aimlessly in at no cost to me. Contact the wrong hero." This segment of The Wrong Hero is brought to you by I&I Soap. I&I Soap! In the foam, in the lather, and just stare at you belligerently in the show and say, "Hey, why you wash your hair on? Do you know what dreadlocks?" I&I Soap. Also by Dual Soap. If you wear it, I'll kill you. If you don't wear it, I'll kill you. Because it's dual soap. And also by Anti-Ivory Soap. It's black, it sinks to the bottom of the fucking tub, it smells like shit, but it's really good for your skin. Anti-Ivory Soap. And also by Mr. Filth. Did you fail to convince your parents that you live in utter squalor and need every cent of financial aid they could possibly give you? Well, before they come for a visit, spread Mr. Filth around. Mr. Filth, Mr. Filth. Mr. Filth will convince them that you live in such squalor that a third world native could hardly expect to boast a lower income level than yours. They'll be handing you money in reams when you use Mr. Filth, Mr. Filth. and also by excrement. Excrement. It's all shit. So chew excrement. Excrement. Don't you think that comedians who inhale helium on stage are in bad taste? I do. There's one line I just won't cross, all right? But I'll tell you something. I don't wear a tie, but when a funeral procession goes by, in silent respect to the dead, I unbutton my shirt and pull it over my head, just in case the deceased had a communicable disease.
I know.
Is there no end to this wire? I don't like to give people get well cards. You know who's been pawing over get well cards? The relatives of sick people. The relatives carrying the germs of sick people go into the hospital gift shop and go pawing around in an unsanitary fashion that you could possibly imagine among the get well cards. They get a paper cut from the get well cards. Nurse, nurse, help! The get well card just made me sick. So forget get well cards. But you know something? I like to visit the sick in the hospital because they're weak and disoriented and easy to deceive. And I lament the loss of the Homeric epithet. The tabloid papers are the only place where you see the Homeric epithet, such as Rosy-Fingered Dawn, except it's 20th century version, so it's Car Smash Son, and Valiant Cancer Boy, and let's not forget, Achy Breaky Hunk. Achy Breaky Hunk's second love child. That's poetry. Speaking of poetry and things literary, I'm working on a book. It's called When Giants Learn to Dance, Then Pygmies Better Carry Lead Umbrellas, and you can bet I'm not going to pick up after the mess either. Saw a woman in here, she was breastfeeding her baby. So I walked up to her and said, I'm sorry, but we can't permit beverages from the outside. And I did. I have the capability to assemble a nuclear device, but I don't want to. I toured the United States by train. Actually, I was being extradited to Seattle. And I enjoyed the experience very much, except that the handcuffs hurt my wrists. And I saw a lot of the country just before they beat me senseless in Illinois. And I was on this prison train, and everybody was sitting around getting their breakfast. And I said to the warden, this here coffee's pretty muddy. And he said, that ain't coffee, that's water. And everybody else was eating bacon and eggs. I looked at my plate, and there was a pig's head with a ring through its nose. And I said, goody, goody, goody. Now I can get engaged. I say, abolish poetry readings and replace them with poverty meetings. And let's not have a war on poverty. Let's have a war on poetry. This segment of The Wrong Hero is an editorial by The Wrong Hero entitled, What About the Children? What about the children? Kids want junk food and dirty clothing. Kids would live in a sewer grate if it had cable television. Kids need toys like pistols and guns if they live on the inner city frontier. Kids need to live out their impotent narcissistic fantasies by watching violent role models such as myself. And my message to the kids, the thing I say when someone says, what about the kids? My message to the kids is, kids, stay in school, because we don't want you around here. Do you have any criticisms of The Wrong Hero? Improvise. The new and improvised wrong hero. Get a gander what's going on down there. I wonder what he's singing.
I ain't dog food. I suck my wrist. I ain't dog food. You're talking blues. We're all show things.
Well, I'll tell you something. King Charles II had a hot poker thrust up his rectum, but at least he no longer had the itching, burning sensation of hemorrhoids. That's my talking blues. My dad said, "Do you still smoke?" And I said, "None of your business." And my dad said, "You still smoke, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, Dad, how'd you know?" He said, "Well, I quit." And I said, "Well, how'd you quit smoking, Dad?" And he said, "Well, I was hypnotized." And I said,
That's a real change of pace, Mr. Consumer Robot. You were hypnotized? That's a real stretch, Mr. Role Model.
I just thought I'd get that in. Because you see, I'm the wrong hero, and I don't go out for breakfast. I just breathe on my pet pig, Porky, and instant bacon. I got a question to ask you. They moved the London Bridge to Arizona. Are you aware of this? They moved the London Bridge to Arizona. So now the Indians, for the first time, can experience fish and chips and be weaned away from bingo and firewater. I call it poetic justice. Ask me about how my managing course is going.
How's your banking course going?
I'm managing. And now I'd like to tell a few traditional stories in the wrong hero mode, and aside from the titles, they will be completely improvised in order to comply with the request of the distinguished Daryl. The first story is called The Man with Butter in His Mouth. Hello, my girl. Can you tell me how to get to TV? All right, buddy, you're under arrest. What are you in here for, buddy? Oh, we got a new fish here. Hey, come on, Can't understand a word you're saying, pal. Well, they finally cut him loose, the man with butter in his mouth, and he's hitchhiking, right? And all of a sudden, his car screeches to a stop. And the guy driving says, "What did you just want to stop this guy for?" And the woman in the passenger seat replied, "That's the man with butter in his mouth, and I'm eating an ear of corn." That was the man with butter in his mouth, or to translate it into rock. And now, the story of the man who built a better mousetrap. Once upon a time, there was a man who did nothing but spend his time, or say, rather, waste his time building inferior mousetraps, or whatever you want to call them. Traps that the mice laughed at. And traps that the mice, with telepathic communication with insects and other flora and fauna, managed to make the man the degraded son of a bitch of the world. But finally, one day, the man built a better mousetrap. And before too long, the world was beating a path to his door. Unfortunately, he didn't have a concrete walk, and so people frequently slipped in the mud, and there was a lot of litigation, and he found that his earnings from having built a better mousetrap were all in escrow, and he, in fact, was about to be thrown into prison for non-payment of taxes on the wonderful better mousetrap. So if you're going to build a better mousetrap, make sure it's somebody that's not going to leave a bunch of dead mice in your living room. I can sort of feel the momentum trickling away, so I'm going to tell but one more of these tales. This one is called The Man Who Caught Flies with Honey Instead of Vinegar. Well, as usual, this man, the same guy who probably tried to build a better mousetrap, was sitting around the kitchen deciding, well, should I catch some flies or not? Well, let's see, in bottle number A, I'll place vinegar. In bottle number B, I'll place Tupelo honey. Well, the flies didn't congregate around the vinegar, but they sure as hell went for the honey, and so he was stuck with a bunch of dead flies, and what the hell was he going to do, go into business? We sell dead flies here, cheap. Get your dead flies here, last stop for dead flies. 500 miles to the next dead fly repository. The moral of this is, why catch flies at all? In fact, why do anything?
They're coming this way.
I'm the wrong hero, and some folks say, why buy a cow if milk is so cheap? I say, why buy anything if you're sturdy enough to beg? I'm the wrong hero. I come from an advanced planet which was so primitive that even cavemen couldn't understand it. I'm the wrong hero here with a very important message. Does anybody here drive German cars?
Yes.
Don't drive German cars. You want to know why? Because German cars go varoom, and that means why in German. So every time you start your car, what it's really saying is why, why. And if you're like me, you don't need flack from a robot slave in the morning, okay? You don't need to start your car and have it go, why? Because I got to get to work. Why? Well, because I got to make money. Why? Well, because if I don't, then I'll starve. Why? Because our government doesn't have a guaranteed income for loafers. Why? Because it's run by evil plutocrats. Why? Because we let it be run by evil plutocrats, because we don't know any alternatives to letting it be run by evil plutocrats. Why? Because we're uneducated and we have no experience in speaking with the tools of public discourse. Why? Because our schools don't educate us to do this thing. Why? Because rhetoric passed away with phrenology and, in fact, the dinosaurs. Why? Because nobody considers it important to be able to speak articulately and volubly in public anymore. Why? Because everybody watches television. Why? Because it's easier than having to read. Why? Oh, shut up already! I'm the wrong hero, and I can't thank God that it's Friday because I don't believe in God, so I thank Friday that it's God. I thank sucking black hole that it's Friday. I thank nothing that it's Friday. I'm the wrong hero with this environmentally conscious question. Can I have a penny to save the environment? Well, okay, scratch 10 cents, but I figure if I can get everybody in the world to fall for this ruse, I'll have $50 million. And I will got mine! Oh, sorry. Actually, the $50 million would go to environmentally safe causes. Like preserving Angora sweaters. I'm the wrong hero. I was watching a documentary about garbage on television, and my girlfriend said, "Why do you watch that trash?" So I took her outside of my car and started up, and it went, "Why?" I'd like to tell you about my first drink. I was vacationing in the Swiss Alps. I got lost in a blinding snowstorm. Before I knew it, I was completely covered by an avalanche. The next thing I saw was a furry, warm, and familiar face hovering close to mine. Why, it was a St. Bernard dog. And he had a little wooden barrel around his neck. And I tasted what was in that barrel. And it was tasty. So I had a drink. And then I had another. And then I had another. And when I woke up 2 weeks later, I was surrounded by yellow snow and 50 St. Bernard dogs with empty kegs. And that's the story of my first drink. I'm the wrong hero. Before I wrap this up, I would like to propose that television producers make detective shows with the names of famous 20th century artists, like Picasso, in the case of the hideously mutilating serial killer. Well, her face is so scarred up it looks like one of my paintings. How are we going to find this fiend? Well, we'll ask the surrealists. We'll just plug them in. Why, they're so crazy they can generate a million ideas we can put into a computer. Before too long, Clay and Mondrian are getting in on the act. Yes, it's a free-for-all with abstract artists given to the act, playing detective. Rauschenberg here on the case. Why, it's Andy Warhol. He's the chief of detectives. But then Kandinsky wants to get into the act. I'm the wrong hero, and I'd like to make some predictions for the future before my career ends, which will very soon. That's the first prediction of the future. The second prediction is video resumes. Sorry, Quasimodo. Video resumes. In the future, spices will be controlled substances.
Don't you get it, man? Medicines are drugs, and spices are medicines. Spices are drugs. Hot stuff makes your brain shoot out all them squirty chemicals and make you feel good because you're burning the inside of your mouth, you idiot! And that's why spices and beer go so well together. Because you're burning your mouth, and you're getting those opiates squirted into your central nervous system, and then wash it down with some nice booze. Before too long, you're a puddle of jelly on the Mexican restaurant stool. Light a match next to your mouth, you set the curtains on fire. It's the coconut grove all over again.
Spices are controlled substances, or will become so in the future. In the future, people will remember how much they used to like nostalgia. In the future, people will worry themselves to death over stress-related illnesses. In the future, the market will be so segmented that every conceivable angle and aspect of mercantilism will be covered. So you'll have stuff like tarantula chow.
Is your spider or arachnid listless, gloomy, depressed, doesn't want to crawl out of the web?
Maybe he needs the special food that spiders, arachnids, and other related creatures all love.
Tarantula chow! That's right, tarantula chow! Feed it to your puppy dog, and he'll go down by the riverside look for carloads of bananas!
Tarantula chow. Scorpions love it too. I'm the wrong hero. Would anybody like to suggest the title of this song? What do you suppose the title could be? Shouldn't have. Shout out something, anything. My boy Flathead. Horses.
Cheer up!
Horses rock, cheer out. Cheer up, horses. What? Cigarettes. Horses. Let's see. Pot. Heroin. This is hard. I can't process all this information because I had my blood replaced with heroin in emulation of my idol, Keith Richards. I think heroin should be legalized, and I'm going to lobby until it is.
Now, this game is beginning to bore me. You are beginning to bore me. You make me nervous. Do you want to know why?
Hi.
Because you're evil. 17th century squealy dumb music's manufactured by people with snuff up their noses and wearing powdered wigs and shoes with buckles on them. Can't stand it anymore. I hate Western civilization. For that matter, Eastern civilization can go take a hike too. I know they don't care in all their transcendent glory what I think of, but that's what I think of. Because I'm the wrong hero. Anything can be a detective. Because the entire universe is not founded on the principle of atoms and electrons and ions. It's founded on two principles: loyalty and betrayal. A psychopathic criminal mind, cooped up, traumatized, rendered autistic by numberless infractions of their personal dignity, become the dark force against which the properly raised Republican Episcopalian detective must do battle. So with that in mind, Ubu Roy, detective. Whoa! Thank you. Any other suggestions? What? War detective? Well, the ball's in your court. Yeah.
There you go.
Artists. Surely you can think of an artist. Captain Kangaroo, detective. Peter Lorre, detective. I cannot help what I do! Madonna, detective. Don't you think Warren Beatty is getting kind of old to be wearing raincoats and jumping onto the backs of antique automobiles, by the way? How do you get to be a detective on television or in the movies? What sterling qualities recommend you to casting couch producers who decide that you ought to be the charismatic good guy instead of the far more interesting villain? The one so full of psychological quirks that little kids run around schoolyards imitating you after they've seen the film, whereas nobody bothers to imitate the hero because the hero's just dad. That's all it boils down to. Dad. And the villain is some sort of twisted mutant uncle. Some guy they kept locked up in a cellar for 25 years. Eisenhower? He's not still president? Can't cope with modern society. Becomes a vengeful renegade. Like Ricky Ricardo. Who spent all the rent money, Lucy? Wow! How many times I tell you to quit with that crime? She's dead. Who can hunt down the elusive Ricky Ricardo? Band leader, killer. Why? Find nurse, detective. I don't know, baby. I don't think I feel like fighting any crime tonight. I think I'm just gonna sit in my easy chair and watch television for a while. Fred, I don't know why I ever married you. You know when I walk down the street, people say to me, "Why are you wearing that old man anyway?" I don't want to be seen with you. Fred, you're just some old man. I'm in the prime of my life. I've given up the best years of my life for you, Fred. All right. After I've taken a little nap, I'll get around to seeing who killed Lucy. The last she's better off dead, sick of her stupid Lucille Ball will be seen by millions of extraterrestrials because television signals, unlike novels, get bounced out into outer space. They travel for an infinitude of time. Someday, you, and even you,
might be gibbered at by uncomprehending aliens with 15 tentacles that look like latex gloves partly filled with water.
Lazy little Ricky, too?
And now, I play drums and find out who killed Mommy.
Sorry. Sorry about that, it's a lapse. Timmy Hedren, detective. Michael Stipe and Peter Buck, boy detectives. I will find out who deconstructed the fables. Yes, they're oracular. Buck, Stipe, what do you got on this here murder here? Well, I'm seeing the vernacular. Well, what's that American semi-Shayvanic pronouncement supposed to be, Mr. Stipe? Oh, I got my head in the buckwheat, 'cause I'm stealing your derision. Any rock star could be a detective. Mick Jagger, excellent with forensic evidence. Just sort of sticks it in the corner of his lip there. Keeps nice and safe. No fingerprints. None of the evidence is damaged. Paul McCartney, detective. When will you solve this case, Detective McCartney? When I'm 64. Ralph Brandon, detective.
Oh, Alice, you just gotta give me my gun. You just gotta. Alice, I can't face the other guys at the launch when I don't have my gun. Oh, Ralph, always carrying on.
Bob Marley, detective. Hey, boom, 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 boom. That's the energy is downright infectious. Lou Reed, detective. Standing on a corner, suitcase full of fancy spy gadgets in my hand. Come on, shut them out. Famous rock stars as detectives. Well, I don't know that guy. Oh, you mean Wake me up before I go. Any rock star could be a television detective, true or false?
Okay.
David Bowie, androgynous detective. Well, the villain ran into the ladies' room. That won't stop me. Any others? Van Morrison. Staying there with his slouch hat, you know. Well, who do you think killed him?
Jackie Wilson said it was me, Chief.
What the hell's that supposed to mean, Van?
Knock me off my feet. Yeah, you like it.
Elvis detective. Wait, didn't he already play detective in one of his movies? Maybe not, I don't know. But he cooperated closely with the police in virtually every film he ever made. Whenever Elvis ran to the police, right away, sir, whatever you say, sir. Sure, sir. Except for Jailhouse Rock, you see. He went to the army, dosed him with speed, lobotomized, forget it, sleeplessness. That same autistic experience that produces our nation's felons. That's right, lock him up in a little box, up 2, 3, 4. When he gets out of the army, he's nowhere to go, but he can still be a detective. All right, man. You have the right to remain silent. Everything you say to do may be held against you. Okay. Stevie Nicks? Stevie Nicks, what a name for a detective, especially a detective associated with property theft. So, Nicks, this has been Nick. What should we do about it? I don't know. Well, all right. Who are these guys downstairs? Is this Chloe? Chloe, as detective.
I will investigate this evidence. Dun, 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 dun.
Ren and Stimpy as detectives. Gee, man, I'm sorry, but I ate the evidence. Thank you. And with that, my career.
Has will to act responsibly.
sure there are some effective legislators.
Wilson. Being a schizophrenic is one thing, but being an extraterrestrial is another thing. And then, of course, being a schizophrenic extraterrestrial is an entirely different thing. I guess that's about the best way to introduce you to our next guest, who's perhaps more of a phenomenon than actually an individual, the wrong hero.
That's right, load that amplifier there. I'm going to need it pretty soon. I'm the wrong hero. And once I was a mortal man, just as you were you. But then, I had a sinister secret. Every time my dog saw me, he would jump for joy. That's because he knew that I was going to put a bouillon cube in the toilet bowl. My dog used to drink out of the toilet, but I broke him of that filthy habit. Then he started pissing in the sink. Set a bad example for the children, so we got rid of the children. And then it was the dog's birthday. He was 21, which is 3 in human years. And so for a birthday treat, I gave my dog his very first beer. And you know something? He was so excited. He ate the cake. He ate the candles. But not before setting the house on fire. And so, we live in the forest now. And do you want to know something? The dog is fat, and I'm starving. I'm the wrong hero. I'd like to ask you something. Would you answer a hypothetical question? Forget it, you already did. I'm the wrong hero. I don't want to be a bank teller until all the money is mine. Of the machine. But halfway through this revolutionary track, I ran out of electricity. I was watching a show about toxic waste, and my girlfriend said, "Are you still watching that garbage?" I'm the wrong hero. And this is my bottom 10. Bring down the nice music, please. Number 1, the boring song. Number 2, cats and dogs and hungry alligators. Cats and dogs and dogs and cats and hungry alligators. A bit of a gator will do if he eats you. Number 3, what's your sign? What's your sign, little girl? What's your sign? Gonna make you mine. This one will sweep you off your feet. I'm in the mood for food, simply because it feels me. Number 5, theme from Death. Who's the corpse that won't fight back? When you will, cut him slack? Death. John Death. Can you dig it? He's already been dead. Hush your mouth. But I'm talking about death. Well, I can dig it. Number 6. Let's not make love. Last night wasn't the night. Let's not make love. Number 8. I'm your puppy. I express what you entail in public and beg for treats because I'm your puppy. Number 8. Gods and dinosaurs. Buddha Brontosaurus, all right. Tyrannosaurus Rex, Kali, it's out of sight. Number 9, where did I go wrong? And the all-time worst, number 10, Wrong Hero Bottom 10 song. Whiskey, tobacco, horses, guns, and women. In that order. I'd like to give my checkers speech now. My wife doesn't wear fancy duds like these dames sitting over there. No, nor is my wife able to afford fancy hats like that Guillaume that introduced me is wearing. No, she can't even afford a ding-dong. In fact, my wife starved to death in 1951, so it is impossible for me to have accepted the $17,000 I allegedly took in order to further my campaign. And furthermore, we did get a little gift. It was a puppy sent to us by a Texan. You see, the girls had mentioned that they might like a dog. And so, well, what do you know, but that one day, a Texan sent us a puppy. But he hated us Northerners, so he sent it 4th class book rate. And when we opened the crate, the little puppy was dead. So we didn't even accept that as a gift. And so, to these allegations that I accepted illegal campaign contributions, my answer is, see you later, allegations. Oh, and by the way, God bless General Eisenhower. He's a really fine man, folks. This is a lemon.
Physicality, man.
Jungle drums. It's lemon mouth. Cleopatra, Hitler, Albert Einstein, William Shakespeare, John F. Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe. The Lone Ranger's faithful companion Tonto.
All these men have one thing in common. They wore
The Mask of Destiny.
And now, for $25, you too can join that elite rank of Cleopatra, Hitler, Stalin, Napoleon, Marilyn Monroe, John F. Kennedy, Jacqueline Wood, and countless other individuals who have worn
The Mask of Destiny.
No, I'm kidding. Because it's
The Mask of Destiny.
The band was playing.
And the band played on. Are you in tune?
No, almost there.
Thanks a lot.
Almost though. Shall I give you a C? I'm the Wrong Hero, and I'm here to communicate a message to you, Earth peons. Your rites of passage are rites of submersion. The very things that you suppose will make your son a man turns him into a fetal quivering ball of spineless joy. They traumatize him beyond all knowledge or recognition of what it means to be human. Like Disney World, for instance. I'm around here and I hate people that say, that's right. They agree with everything that you say because they don't want to cause a little bit of trouble. So you walk up to them and you say something like say, that Hitler wasn't so bad after all. That's right, that's right. Or you walk up to them and you say, well, that Dan Quinn wasn't so stupid after all. And they go, that's right, that's right. I hate people that say, that's right. I'm here to ask you, if you want me to answer any questions that you've been dying to ask me. Are there any questions that you've been dying to ask me? And if so, if I don't like them, you will die! I'm the wrong hero. And my philosophy is the weight of life and the pace of living leave no room for the freight of ideas. So if you have any bright ideas, keep them to yourself. It's the wrong hero here, and now it's time to play the cynical detective. Yes, he shits on everything. The cynical detective. The Indians had a name for him. It was wanna kill, which means wants on everything. The cynical detective. Yet another one in a long line of stupid detective parodies, a genre which is so easy to parody because it's so mindless that even a child, an infant, a retard, an elephant, something that's not even human could parody it if they so chose. I'm so cynical on my chosen direction of bad detective, obviously, because I'm a cynical detective, that I refuse to believe that nobody is innocent and everybody is guilty. The end. I'm the wrong hero. I applied for a job. I handed the man my resume. My resume read, I'm the wrong hero. I've seen you eating Gracie potato chips behind the file cabinet, you degenerate. And I've seen the greasy French fry wrappers you keep stuffed in your drawer, you secretive pervert man. So get your filthy hands off my resume, because it's mine! Do you hear? Mine! Needless to say, I got the job. But you know something? I might have got the job a lot sooner if I had not flossed my teeth during the interviews I had before. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, which is pretty daring for a hominid thing which isn't really even certifiably human to do. I mean, if you were Humpty Dumpty, what the hell would you do? Would you go on and sit on a wall so that some guy from the inner city with a head full of crack and take pot shots at you with his Mac? Is that what you would do? I got him on a 915, cracking a gigantic human-like egg. I ain't done nothing! We know you're behind the Tom the Piper's son heist. The Knave of Hearts stole some tarts. The king is horny. He wants them back. I have a magical TV that I can tune to channel 1964. Actually, it's Nickelodeon. But lately, they've begun to show political ads like AU2 and Reel-It Lyndon Johnson. And now it's time for the Flattened Affect Show, starring your host, Al Drool. This week on the Flattened Affect Show, we'll be presenting Why I Like Elvis. You may say, hey Elvis. But you gotta admit, the man had good taste in adult diapers. If I was gonna pick a fat Dutchman to swindle me out of my fortune, I couldn't have picked a better fat illegal alien Dutchman than Colonel Parker. No! And if I was going to strangle my twin brother in the womb, I couldn't pick a better twin brother to strangle than Jesse Garrett Presley. And if I was going to throw money away, I couldn't pick a better medium than Diamond And that's why I love Elvis. Because if I was going to have a veritable cacophonic alphabet of drugs in my bloodstream,
I wouldn't want to be a piker and start with 6 or 7. Oh no! I'd insist on having at least 13 or 14, like the king when he met his untimely demise. People say, wrong hero, you've lost weight. And I say, no, that's flop sweat. Because this episode of The Wrong Hero is brought to you by Vise Out. Gets the red in. When you're hanging out with your degenerate buddies, Vise Out. Gets the red in. So you don't think you're a narc. And by the penis. Made for a woman, but men like it too. And by the ABC network show, Couch. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Couch doesn't move, he just sits there, because he's Couch. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Also by Major Dead. No conflicts this time. Major Dead is dead. Mr. Dead, he dead. And by the Golem Girls. I'm the wrong hero. I cover New England like a fog. But I long to drop bombs on Antarctica so that the penguins there, for the first time in their lives, could fly. They could fly. I long to fly south to the real America. Chicken chokers, our one-eyed cousins. People who, when you walk up to them, say to you, "Don't tell me my business, you hanky-panky-panky Yankee boy! Don't tell me my business! Mister, your head's on fire. Don't tell me my business now!" Because when you're down south, and Southerners don't like you, they always talk as though they're trying to take a shit. "We don't like your kind around here, boy. What do you say you get in there, pick up a truck and just head on out of here now?" I'm the wrong hero, and I say, let us spend 2/3 of our effort to put 1/3 of the nation back to the end of the line. I'm the wrong hero. And I predict that you will grow wise in deserting your ideas. Not because it's more convenient, but because it's more fun. I'm the wrong hero. Can we have some sad music, please? Some really sad music. I'm gonna milk this baby for the last drop. I was sad because I had no shoes. And then I met a man who had no socks. So I socked him and took his shoes. And then I met a man with no feet. So I kicked him because I had shoes. But I was sure to say, "Excuse me." This episode of The Wrong Hero is brought to you by Jesus Christ Soup and by Malcolm X-Ray Specs. There's sure some nice pepperoni bread you got there. Malcolm X-Ray Specs. You actually appear to see through white hypocrisy. A hilarious optical illusion. Malcolm X-Ray Specs. I'm the wrong hero here to tell you, visit Boston, because if you must go crazy in Boston. Nobody will care. And if you're really crazy to begin with, go to Providence. Nobody will notice. I'd like to share some more of my incomprehensible philosophy with you before I depart this earthly plane.
The innocent must suffer. It is wrong to treat people like garbage, but in your case, I'm willing to make an exception. Poison the poor because they're too broke to sue. Don't be afraid of Judge Wapner on the People's Court because he's retired and his cases have no standing in law. And now I'd like to sing a song. I was walking down the street, I was likely to die. I was feeling mighty sore with some streptomine. I was walking down the street, I was really ill because my brother gave me some penicillin. I'm the wrong hero. I'm trying to turn this circus into a courtroom. My message to you is ignore the curtain behind the man. Because I can see a thing without my glasses. I'm also here to tell you, you don't need drugs. Give them to me. Because I smoked crack in college, but I didn't exhale. I used drugs in college, but I only used them several thousand times. And now it's time for movie listings with the wrong hero. Would you care to participate? Just shout out the titles of movies at random.
Assault on a queen.
Physicality.
Barefoot in the park.
Oh shit. I'm walking on a fucking sewer grate. Oh shit.
I think I'm late.
It's not working, Chris.
So stop.
Beneath the planet of the apes.
What are they feeding these fucking apes anyway? Christ, it's all over me. Well, I'm the wrong hero. And I'm sorry to say it, but you are beginning to bore me. You make me
Why, Francis?
because you're evil.
At least we're not messy.
Remember this much, friend. A man can be a mass murderer as long as he washes under his arms.
Hey, Steve, can you get those 3 mic stands and put them out there? senseless earth slaves, you anger me. I'm the wrong hero, and I have no fixed address. But at least I have a dress. Hey, don't spill water on the mic cables. What mic cables? Oh, I forgot. There is no sound man.
They're not there yet, but they're gonna.
I'm the wrong hero, and I'm here to tell you, you don't need drugs. Give them to me. I'm the wrong hero, and I'm here to say, I can start drinking anytime I want to. I'm the wrong hero, and I'm here to say, I can see a thing without my glasses. I'm from Devil's Island, and he's from mine. Nothing's more fun than a barrel of monkeys, except one monkey in a barrel, doing what comes naturally to primates in small enclosed spaces, when there's nobody watching them. Except maybe a little video camera. Sell that sucker in Taiwan. I'm the wrong hero, and I say, an apple cleans your teeth. So does a hand grenade. Try this simple test at home. Take a bite into an apple. Good. Now take a bite into a hand grenade. I'm the wrong hero, and I say, eliminate the middleman. He has a stupid name. I'm the wrong hero, and I say, I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm running away from the Joneses because I trashed their lawn. I'm the wrong hero, and I say, everybody else always ruins it for a few assholes. Finally, my niece wanted one of those little snowballs with a festive Christmas scene in it. I flicked some dandruff onto a cue ball, and I said, here you go, now you got a whole blizzard. And at no cost to me, which is the operative phrase. I'm the wrong hero, and I say, let's end this senseless violence. Let's have some sensible violence for a change. Huh? What do you say? I'm the wrong hero, and I say, white men can't jump, nor do they do a particularly good job of coming up with movie titles. For that matter, Oliver Stone's working on a new movie, God is Dead. Then he's got the follow-up, Clark Kent is Superman. And then Superman is dead. And then there's the fourth movie in the series, Superman is God. I'm doing a children's book based on the JFK movie. One day, Baby Bunny and his friend, the little kitten, took a hop, skip, and a jump to the grassy knoll. And what do you suppose they saw? Our chief executive getting his head blown off by a combination of right-wing fanatics from Dallas and mafioso who were disappointed because JFK didn't take a little helicopter trip to Frank Sinatra's bachelor pad. I'm around there and I say, let's not have the death penalty anymore. Let's change it to something nice, like putting the killers to sleep. I'm the wrong hero, and when people come up to me and say, wrong hero, I don't like your attitude, I say to them, my attitude is, I'm cool.
Hey, watch out here.
I don't need any crutches.
You don't need any rest for me. Don't look the monitor, huh?
What good is it anyway?
What's not on now?
No, it's not on now. You expect me to think that far into the future?
By yourself. You don't need me. Stand up and pull your fucking ass.
Thanks, pal. I sure do appreciate the permission, Grand Poobah. be able to run. It'll work for the Ford power generated by kimchi. I'm the wrong hero, and I just wrote my resume. And this is how it reads. I've seen you eating French fries and greasy potato chips behind the file cabinet, you pervert. So get your filthy, greasy hands off my resume, you greasy earth monkey, because it's mine, you hear? My resume. Not yours. If it was yours, it would probably say something like, I am unfit for any kind of labor, except passing judgment on other people, equally unfit. I'll get to that. Mike wants to know what I need a resume for. Ha! I'll tell you why, because my brilliant ideas aren't getting the recognition they deserve. Like my idea for a movie. The smart young detective and the stupid old cop. Look out, stupid old cop. Gee, thanks, smart detective. You sure pulled my buns out on fire. The end. I was like this. It's a wonderful hero. Please, Mr. Gower, hurt my sore ear again. Or, Huckleberry Finnegan's Wake. Run past Paps and Nigger Jim's leads us by circumlocution to Aunt Polly's house. The Pope says drug addiction is grounds for divorce. The wrong hero says marriage is grounds for drug addiction. Case closed. Now earlier on I said that I don't need drugs. That's because I got a prescription and it's medicine now.
You need teaching.
Well, that's because 34 years of systematic abuse have left me unable to hold a thought in my head larger than several syllables. I was talking to Albert Einstein, and I said, Einstein, where did you come up with all these crazy ideas? You must be on drugs. What's that thing you do? E equals MC squared? That's not even a complete sentence. MC squared what? Where's the subject? Where's the verb? Where's the object? What's the E stand for? Elvis? Big ears? I'm going to talk to you. I once spoke to a crowd of 5,000. Okay, it was an anthill. I'm from Suction Junction. I'm the wrong hero, and I hate small-time Boston newspapers. Go down to New York, you're not going to read a headline in the New York Times that says, local boy comes in third in National Spelling Bee. Now are you? Now I have a question for you. Would you accept $1 million? Good, I wouldn't either. Because they'd be in pennies. And you'd have to take them all at once. And they'd be falling on your head. Man crushed by 100 million pennies. Local boy places third in area spelling bee. I'm the wrong hero, and you can't trust anybody over 35. You can't trust anybody under 35. You can't trust anybody. But most of all, you can't trust anybody who reads the Reader's Digest. Now you might say, oh, well, Italians have the little man with a mustache and a chef's hat to represent them. Right? And the British have Winston Churchill. But who do the Irish have? Lucky Charms. Oh, it's me, Lucky Charms. Oh, marshmallow stars. No, wait a minute. I have a famous Irish temper. And if they continue to steal my Lucky Charms, I will twist their heads into garbage. We'll have real marshmallow stars. And orange moons. And pink clovers. And lifeless suns. And you'll all freeze to death. Now my time is not almost up. Well, it looks like Mr. Absent Salmater was conveniently absent during the open mic.
I'm supposed to look downstairs. I have a bunch of angry people downstairs now because I'm not there.
Hey, they're blues musicians. They're always angry. So what's new? They know. Okay. Well, fortunately, I only have a few more minutes worth of material. Good, thank you. A friend in need is typical. What goes around comes around. Unless you duck your head and then it hits somebody else. I'm the wrong hero, and I'm looking for a job. I've been looking into several occupations. Physical therapist. Move it, Quasimodo! Travel agent. I'd like to go to Hawaii. Get out of my face! Employment interviewer. Well, Frosty, you would obviously make a very good snowman for our company, but your resume was written on an ice cream cone, and I hate it. Sorry.
Well, acupuncture,
Acne puncture? I don't know. Information clerk. Pardon me, do you know where the bathroom is? No, I don't. I really should be called ignorance clerk. Or security guard. What does a security guard hear? Guard! Guard! I heard you the first time. How would you like it if I walked up and down the hallway saying, victim, victim? I'm the wrong hero, and here is my plea. It is called, Please No More. Ready? Please, no more comedy dramas about people coping with illnesses. Please, no more talk about the magic of Disney. They swindle a sick old woman. They swindle a sick man. Please, no more Magic Johnson. What is a Johnson? I do know. Do you?
It's often slang for a penis.
It's often the slang for a penis. Well, what was so magic about Magic Johnson, huh? Yeah, that's right. He was a basketball player, now his penis dribbles. Please, no more Malcolm X. How's about Malcolm XXY? How's about Malcolm A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, Y, Z? cappuccino farts on David Letterman's sofa. I'll say, I don't drink cappuccino. Just think of this. The people who used to cut in line are now running things. The best lack all conviction, and the worst are paralegals, ad writers, Jeopardy contestants, critics, and editorial writers, and lack all conviction, as do I. For I am the wrong hero, and you are beginning to bore me.
Sound like the end of a Led Zeppelin song.
Did somebody say more?
It was a mistake.
Why? Why? That was the best performance that the Wrong Hero ever did. The Wrong Hero is a living legend.
There was one in February that was better.
Mike Higgins, documentarian extraordinaire.
You do better in cold weather. The heat makes you sluggish.
Here's somebody's set list. Rosie, dirty. Doing all, doing nothing. Erosion. Dark road. Indoctrinization. Carpet. Cartoon. Machine. Hey, this is more and more like me. Every moment. Wetness. Mental. Shout something out. Out. What? Out. My little boy likes to say bad words. And I told him that words like shit and piss are okay. The bad words you have to really avoid are pieces of meat, and so now I sold my parrot. My kid stands around doing it all day. I'm the wrong hero. Hi, I'm the wrong hero. I didn't win the presidential election. But I can console myself with my title, President of Earth. I'm the wrong hero. I don't exercise, chew gum, watch television, or have sex. Unless I get to do them all at the same time. I find it's good to take a 2-minute work break every 5 minutes or so. Of course, I'm famous for my 16-hour work breaks. And that leads up to my theme. Putting this country back to work. Now, you might be saying, wrong hero, that's really stupid because if you try to make the country work too hard, it has all sorts of earthquakes and tornadoes and floods, and a gigantic meteorite almost hits Pittsburgh and destroys it. Well, of course talking about putting the actual physical country to work. What kind of maniac do you think I am? No, I'm talking about putting the people of this great land back to work. Because we're Americans, damn it, and we may be down on our luck at this very moment. Thank you for noticing. But we're still strong enough, and we're still imaginative enough to beg. Because this is a great country. Now, here are some statistics I made up in my head to support this statement. Bob Dylan never uses deodorant. The Beach Boys purchase 1% of all the Stridex medicated pads manufactured. Paul McCartney has never watched The Bill Cosby Show. Dragnet has been translated into over 267 languages, including English. Now, you can go to the Burger King and spend 99 cents, or you can stay at home and hit a picture of your heart with a mallet and save yourself $1. It's up to you, because America is a great country. And why is that? Because it's a land of choice. Even outer space aliens who monitor our television transmissions admit that the country is full of great choices. When aliens watch our television transmissions, they think that Ricky Wah and Get Rich Quick Scheme are the two most popular words in our lexicon. And when aliens read our comic strips, they believe that Charlie Brown is the head of a charismatic cult worshipped by millions. Actually, Snoopy is the head of this charismatic cult. But they don't know that because they're not from around here, and they don't fully appreciate that this is a truly great country. But you know, it's been sneezing a lot lately. And here's my prescription. Put the people back to work. Now I have here a little list. I figure all you have to do is roll up your sleeves, America. All you Monsanto workers and Occidental Petroleum employees who got the pink slip, all you Dow Chemical plant manufacturer people who don't have jobs anymore, manufacture organic fertilizer. Now, all you IBM retirees, I suggest that you stay at home and type your recipes on your PC. Now, you Ford and GM workers who are taking early retirements, I think you should give lectures on the master cylinder at community colleges and your local Kiwanis clubs. Now, all you folks at Miller Beer who don't have jobs at the brewery anymore, I suggest you move to Palm Beach and brew beer in your hot tubs and call it your microbrewery. Because you know, they like to drink down in Palm Beach. Now, all you folks at Delta and American Airlines and United Airlines, I think it would be nice if you all took up bird watching. That'll keep you busy. You might catch the red-eyed video over there over at the video store. Now, all you folks over at Eastman Kodak who don't got jobs no more, put your photographic expertise to work by taking dirty pictures and selling them door to door. Hell, if you sell 50 of them in a day, there you go. Now, you folks at Sears, I think you could set up the first daycare centers with high-definition television. That way, you can see every wrinkle on Kukla, Fran, and Ollie. and third world debt team up to manufacture instantly obsolete consoles. That's part of the greatness that I'm talking about here. The ingenuity of the American who is down on his luck, but never willing to say die. Now you Aetna insurance salesman, you can work the 1-900 numbers for phone sex. That's your job. All you people over at Westinghouse that don't have two sticks to rub together, you can get a job at Radio Shack helping midgets get off of stools. Now, I've got an idea for you people at American Express. You can switch jobs and work for Federal Express. And you can tear off the American on your American Express shirt, and you can exchange it for Federal Express. And that way you save yourself the expense of going out to Sears and buying a shirt, but they're closed anyway, because we buy all our steel from the Japanese, and we get all our orange juice from Brazil. Because nobody wants to learn English if they can possibly avoid it, and Americans are too lazy to learn sign language. As for me, I'm the wrong hero. Esperanto is my native tongue, but I communicate through means of Egyptian hieroglyphs and Nintendo. I'm the rudest, tootinest cowboy who ever crushed ice in a coffee grinder. And where I spit, the sun don't shine. I'm a physical therapist whose favorite expression is, "Get a move on, Quasimodo!" So let's turn off the McNeil-Lehrer report. And let's tune in to the Wrong Heroes action program for the 90s that I'm going to tell you all about in just a minute. But first, remember, the watchword for the 90s is more corruption, more waste, more greed, and more beer. Especially for the kids. Now, I'm not superstitious, see, but I've seen the movie Aladdin over 1,000 times, 1,002 to be exact, and to me, the genie in the lamp is saying there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow right next to the big rock candy mountain, see? Right after you take a lift at the Fountain Youth Grill, you go through 3 sets of lights till you get to Utopia, then you take a hard right, and then you continue on down past the Emerald City, and you go up the street to the city on the hill, see? And you go cascading off the side of the cliff when you take a wrong turn on Windmill Street. So I'm not superstitious, but the witch doctor handed me a voodoo doll and told me that it was the media. Because you know, folks, you can't trust the media. And as soon as I call my contacts at the New York Times, I'll tell you more about it. But no, in the few seconds that I have remaining, it's my duty and it's incumbent upon me to tell you that Noise Party will feature for the next 5 weeks nothing but Wrong Hero action-adventure films. That's right, Tuesday, March 2nd, The Cutting Edge of Chaos. March 9th, I Come to Destroy Your Earth Comedy. March 16th, You're Evil, Evil, Evil. March 23rd, How Do You Make the Earthman Laugh? And finally, culminating, March 30th with History of America. 9 o'clock, Channel 66.
Now some special footage of the Wrong Hero relaxing at home with his friends.
I told you to keep your hands off of my tools. Those are my personal belongings. I asked you not to disturb them. Now look what you made me do. Italian friend. His name was Vince. And what do you think, bud? He ended up working at the drugstore that his family lived above when he was a child and recently come to this country. Aboard. Funny thing about Vince was, whenever he became angry at you, he would say, break up. What I want to know is, where is Vince now? Working in a hospital? Or maybe he's in politics. Pharmacist for deputy sheriff. Because you know he cares.